Comicazi Mike.
I'm Miracle Max.
And we're here at the Northeast Comic Con in Wilmington, and we are on the Marvel 75th Anniversary panel.
Come check us out right now!
We are now at the 75 Years of Marvel panel. We're going to start out with some introductions. My name's Clay. I do the podcast with those two guys out there, but we're going to go down the line.
My name is Max Woolman, and I write The Adventures of the Galactic Wrestling Federation from Bad Kids Press. We're here today to check out our stuff. I've read more Marvel comics than I have met people that I remember their names.
I'm Michael Burke. I own Comicazi in Somerville, Mass.
Woo!
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I've read more Marvel comics than Max. And met more people.
Matt Durson, as Clay said, we do the Ordinary Gentleman podcast, which started as just comic books, but then since all these movies and everything, it's kind of become a bit of a hodgepodge podcast, but that's it. I've read some Marvel comics.
My name's Josh Lingle, and I am also on the podcast with these guys, and I too have read Marvel comic books. Shocking.
He's got a Captain America tattoo.
I've got tattoos even. I'm that committed.
Why don't we go and talk about the first Marvel comics you read?
The first Marvel comic I ever read was, I got into comics through when I was a kid, Star Wars comics and the Simpsons comics and stuff like that. Those are all really great stuff for getting kids interested in comics, but it really takes that special person in your life. I forgot her name, she's a friend of my mom's, but she gave me a Marvel Superheroes holiday grab bag. Any of you guys ever see that? It's huge, it's like
a Treasury Edition?
Treasury Edition is awesome, and none of them had anything to do with Christmas. None of the stories. If you want Marvel Team Up, was it the Marvel Team Up Annual? Where Spider-Man and Human Torch help Sandman get a Christmas gift for his dying mother. That's amazing. It was great, and it kind of did a little chronological history of it started with Daredevil #7, and there was a weird Black Widow story where she's taking a guy out on a date, and he winds up sacrificing his life for her, and she's just oh, he was a schlub, but I loved him.
Capitalist now.
So that was my first one, holiday grab bag.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think a lot of people, Spider-Man was my entry into comics, and it was Amazing Spider-Man 151. That was my very first comic I ever read.
Who's in that one?
It's Spider-Man. It's really awesome cover, just Spider-Man trapped in a sewer, and you're the villain looking at him, and it evokes the old Steve Ditko, Spidey trapped under all the rubble.
Is Peter Parker in there?
Peter Parker is in there, so is J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, cool.
Which girlfriend was he in?
This was after the original Clone Saga, so Gwen was dead, so it was Mary Jane. Good.
Yeah.
I'm a Gwen guy.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
I think I used to watch Spider-Man's Amazing Friends.
Oh, best cartoon
One of
ever.
my favorites. Hulk came on right after that.
Oh yeah.
So I was kind of looking for a one-stop shopping thing. And Secret Wars had just, the first one in '84 or something, I think, had just come out. And so I think that was a 12-issue series. I think I picked it up around 4. And that was I think that was the first entry into Marvel Comics for me. So.
Secret Wars is better than Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
I'm a big DC guy, but I will happily admit that Crisis on Infinite Earths is a mess compared to how awesome and toyetic Secret Wars is.
I feel a hate crime coming on.
Well, it worked for me. I mean, so if that was '84, this is 30 years or so. Wow, I'm old.
Yeah, next year is the anniversary, I believe.
Are they doing another one?
Yeah.
Are they doing a
It's gonna be cool. It's not. It's different. It's gonna.
It's Hickmanized.
Yes, it is very.
Hickmanized?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah, it means confusing but fun.
All right.
So, okay, yeah, my turn. My first Marvel comic was Captain America 286. I don't think anything happened in it that was interesting. Deathlock.
Hey, look at that.
This guy's this is
that was impressive.
Mike Zeck cover. J.M.
Did
Dominguez
you
writing.
see my phone? Were you looking at
No,
that?
I'm gonna this is a really fun game we play at Comicazi. You can do this anytime Mike's in the store. You can just go up to him and just be Avengers 85. Who's on the cover of that?
I was an orange cover, and it was a Squadron Sinister appearance.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like a Rain Man of Marvel covers.
It's amazing.
But yeah.
Not really. It just meant I was alone a lot as a kid.
Well, Marvel comics are cool like that because the thing I like about Marvel comics is that they sort of talk to you. It's like, that sounds really lonely, but I mean, they do. Like Stan Lee, you read all those old comics, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, they're kind of right there reading the comic with you. Like, isn't that crazy, reader? Whoa.
That was what I liked the best about Marvel, as opposed to DC, was that sense of community that they started to
Absolutely.
foster. You know, creating like the Merry Marvel Marching Society and FOOM, like the fanzine for Marvel fans, and just the letters pages and the footnotes that they would leave in panel.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it was just really casual and just great. I love going back, like reading old comics is, especially like, I know I don't want to like crap on DC Comics because I love DC Comics, but old
Why not?
Silver Age DC Comics are really hard to read. It's like you feel like the comic book is talking down to you, but Marvel comics are just fun and weird, and everyone's a freak, and it's great.
And then you talk about like the bullpen bulletins and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When we were all coming up and reading that stuff, it's like, here's an insight into what's going on in Marvel Comics. And later you find out, like, you know, Stan was just trying to fill the pages up with something fun, you know, I'll go around and like ask everybody a question. But then it became it's like they created their own mysticism around like what they were doing. But if you were to like have walked into those Marvel offices like in the 70s, I guess it was crazy and it was smoke filled. And I don't know what the smoke was.
I mean,
but, you know, it was crazy. It was a good time.
You talk about crazy, and it's because they were kind of desperate, because comics at the time were dying, and they were really taking chances with characters that they weren't going. I mean, you know, their monster stuff was selling, their romance stuff was selling, because it was all kind of like freak of the week, like, whoa, that's weird, I'll take a look at that. But they really started building a fan base with their superheroes by really creating non-superheroes. The Fantastic Four, the thing I like about the Fantastic Four is that for the first two or three issues, I don't think they get costumes until issue 4. So they're just like running around in their cities, like just arguing with each other, just like throwing each other through
Like us.
walls. Yeah. Mike and I have a very thin Human Torch relationship, but I'm the Jewish one.
Wait, what?
I think it's Jewish. I'm obviously the Human Torch to your thing.
Okay.
So.
And you know, then comics have gone through so much since the 40s, the Silver Age and the Golden Age. And then there was the 70s and like all the awesome stuff we read in the 80s, and then bam, the 90s happened, and comics weren't really selling.
Well, comics weren't really selling in the 40s or 50s either, especially superhero comics, you know. Captain America Commie Smasher was a bomb, you know. They wanted to bring that character back way sooner than Avengers #4, but it sucked. So they couldn't, and it tanked. So yeah, again, that's where those risks come from. And I think in the 90s, you know, they realized that their comics weren't doing well, so they took a risk again, and they made Ultimate Spider-Man, which saved Marvel Comics from, I guess Toy Biz, or whatever toy company.
Toy Biz in the 90s.
Yeah,
bought them.
they bailed them out a little bit, but Ultimate Spider-Man really got people back interested
But
in
as the
reading a monthly
decades went on, Marvel sales gradually fell off. I mean, they were still great in the 70s and the 80s.
I think the 70s might be my favorite time for Marvel Comics.
It's my favorite decade.
Because you got Jim Starlin coming out, and I think Jim Starlin is, to me, the best. Any guys Jim Starlin fans in the audience?
One.
I think you guys are all Jim Starlin fans because
No,
you guys all like
Don't know it.
you guys all like Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Right.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is great, and a lot of that stuff was based on his creations. Thanos,
Yeah, he's got a new Thanos versus Hulk book out like now.
Yeah.
He's still at it.
Marvel now.
He's awesome, and he really brought a sense of like poetry to those comics because he was, to me, like we're talking about, you know, creators coming from a real place. He was a Vietnam War photographer, so he like experienced some like human atrocities like firsthand, and he brought those stories over into the Marvel universe through Captain Marvel and Thanos, and you know, the futility of war and stuff like that. That's really poignant, powerful stuff that we can still learn from.
Yeah, he uses those same ideas, you know, the whole Church of Universal Truth and stuff like that. He's definitely putting forth his views on politics and religion through his cosmic storylines. He's mostly cosmic stuff.
Yeah,
But I mean, he single-handedly created Marvel's cosmic pantheon of characters.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love that stuff.
Now they're cashing in. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going.
He's a big advocate of creator rights. I mean, even in the 70s, he definitely pushed Marvel's publishing to make sure that he got credit for stuff. Him and like Steve Englehart, who I think some of this Doctor Strange movie stuff is going to be based off of his works.
I hope so. That would be great.
I mean, yeah, the 70s had a lot of consciousness expanding creators and stories.
Where did that come from?
Then you got Bendis. He was not in NAM or anything. That guy. Touche.
Also, we could like speak to you know, like the consciousness and the social commentary, to just put a blanket statement on it. You know, in the X-Men, you know, a lot of people identify with X-Men because they feel like they're outcasts, or they feel like they identify as part of a group that is not, you know, that is persecuted, and then you see, you know, like Chris Claremont and even like back to the Stan Jack X-Men stories, you know, like there's a lot that they injected in there. And actually I did, and I was another thing you said about the Vietnam vet, like is my favorite creator, I think, as a writer, is Larry Hama. I got my G.I. Joe tattoo. That was my first Marvel comic, was the G.I. Joe comic, and you know, he did much the same thing, and with comics like G.I. Joe, and you know, when he assisted on the NAM in the 80s, like they really put the real world in there for us to identify with. And that's just awesome.
That social conscience is really what keeps those stories relevant and able to be translated into our media and movies and stuff like that. You know, Captain America 2, the movie, you know, with the Hydra stuff, it reminded me kind of Jack Kirby's Cap stories from the 70s, where he's taking on not Hydra but the Secret Empire. And it turns out that the leader of the Secret Empire is none other than, they don't explicitly say it, but he's clearly supposed to be Richard Nixon. And it's really great. And Cap's just like, I figured out who you are. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Richard Nixon kills himself in the Oval Office in that comic.
There's, Steve Englehart did Captain America then too, did a whole bunch of Watergate commentary issues of the Captain America book. And then Kirby came on.
And that's what's fun about those comics, is that you can give them to a kid and it's fun action adventure. You give them to an adult and it's just like this subversive commentary on the world around them, and it's like, whoa, that's cool.
Mike, you might know this. They always have the president is always
a prominent figure in
the
comics,
president. The president of that is like in the present day, like in real life, usually.
In office, the acting president?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite
Obama was in Spider-Man a few years ago.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan has been in, you know.
Yeah, I think modern day though, the like when you take like Obama or a public figure though, it's a bit more of a marketing stunt than it is just like organic of the story. You know, like, you know, Nixon, you know, I mean, maybe you could say that was a marketing stunt or subversive, like Max had said.
Well, if Nixon was on the cover, like, giving a big thumbs up, and I'd say that would be a marketing stunt. Would have been awesome.
But no more a marketing stunt than like the propaganda covers of World War II that Marvel and DC Comics and everyone else did, you know, just punching Hitler or buy war bonds or
something terribly racist. Anyway, anyone who's I want to ask a question. Who's your guys' favorite Marvel superhero? Do I have to go first?
Yes.
All right, I like Captain Marvel. We were talking about Jim Starlin. I like all the various incarnations of Captain Marvel. You know, you got
Shazam?
No, he doesn't count. But I do like the fact that that book for a while was like a big joke on Shazam. How Rick Jones was like switching spots with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, there's a parallel there, yeah.
Dude, totally. It was totally just like a laugh, like Jim Starlin just like having a goof. But yeah, so Captain Marvel's definitely my
If
favorite.
anybody's answer isn't Spider-Man, then I don't know.
Well, Spider-Man's
I don't wanna
great.
be
Don't
here
get me
anymore.
Captain Marvel.
Don't get me wrong, but I mean, that sort of Spider-Man trait of having a relatable character definitely continued with Captain Marvel, except it was Rick Jones who was like, you know, a cool, like, I guess.
Beatnik?
Yeah, he was definitely a beatnik. Yeah, he was a total beatnik, as opposed to Spider-Man's like, I'm a geek, you know?
Yeah, the Spider-Man model has worked for 40 years between all comic publishers.
Have you guys heard the crazy theory that every 10 years Marvel reinvents Spider-Man? So you have Spider-Man.
Goes back to old crappy Spider.
Well, you have Spider-Man in this. It's like a day. It's just like some new teen hero where it's gonna be like this character is you. So you had Spider-Man in the '60s, Nova in the '70s, Speedball in the '80s,
Oh boy.
Darkhawk in the '90s.
That is dark times.
And then the aughts, the 2000s had Ultimate Spider-Man, and then 2010s had the new Ultimate Spider-Man.
Miles Morales.
Yeah, who I really like. I really like that character. He's a lot of fun. But that's just a fun little weird thing that Marvel does every 10 or so years.
Or they just go Amazing Spider-Man #1 again.
Yeah, the renumbering thing's sort of new, but it's like, it works.
Yeah.
As far as like selling single issues, I know a lot of people like get upset about all their renumbering, but
I'm a dinosaur.
it's okay. I wouldn't want to fight a T-Rex.
We're still going through our favorites?
Yeah, what's your
Sorry,
favorite
I didn't
Marvel
say.
heroes? It's Spider-Man is an acceptable answer.
Do I?
But
I could go for it.
I remember when I was a kid, when like the action figures came out, I was a huge fan of the black costume Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just on like looks alone, I don't think I had even read him in a comic at that point. But all-time favorite, probably Captain America.
You do have that tattoo.
I do have the tattoo, and my birthday is July 4th, so
Wow. Bleeds red, white, and blue.
I do.
That's awesome.
So like, what about Captain America makes him your favorite hero?
I don't even know. I mean, just like
The Shield.
the shield is sick, man.
Well, the shield is really great. There's something like really poetic about a soldier who doesn't carry a gun, who just has like a shield to essentially first and foremost to protect people with. So he definitely follows that vein of like being sort of an outcast even among his own people.
The thing that I like about Captain America, and he's definitely probably one of he might be my choice too, but I think he's a little stronger than a dude, but there have been times where he was just like they took away the thing and used to do. But like, he gets by on his like his dial and his perseverance and his like spirit and everything, and and he's never like really like, oh, he's gonna be bad Captain America for a little while. Like, oh, he's always been like the straight.
He was nomad.
Yeah,
The man without a
for
country.
a little while there, yeah. But he's never like been like, oh, I'm gonna just start killing people or something. Like he's always very
Yeah.
straight arrow, and I like that.
There's nice consistency there.
Consistency. Except now he's old, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that.
I like them. I know some people are kind of like one way or another about the new sort of Captain America and Thor, but I think they're really good. I think just as far, not even as just like gimmicky or whatever, I think they're good stories. Like,
I think Thor is really good. I think the Thor is really good. Actually.
Did you read Thor? Did anyone here read the last issue of Thor? Thor #2? Thought bubbles. Thought bubbles for days. I was just like, yes, they're back. Because that's something to me that's been missing in modern comics.
It's all captions. Like,
Yeah, it's
all
like-
Frank Miller type captions.
or Jeff Loeb, where it's just
okay.
yeah, where it's like, here's what I'm thinking, here's what this other character's thinking, like really straightforward. But thought bubbles are fun, and especially when you have this mystery of who this new Thor is, which is another thing I love about the concept, is that they're bringing back the fact that they're not always Thor. She's someone else when she's not Thor. Who knows who she is? Could be a guy. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, just in case you guys don't know, there's a new Thor, and it's a lady, and they have not revealed like who it really is. And then there's a new Captain America. It's but you know who he is. He was Falcon in the movie in Winter Soldier. He's taking on the helm of Captain America.
Is one am I missing something? There's another one?
Well, there's Superior
Oh,
Iron Man.
yeah,
I don't know what that's about.
Oh yeah, well that was
You guys drunk?
Iron Man moved to the West Coast, and apparently if you're from the West Coast, you're a kind of a frivolous bad guy now. He's not really a bad guy, but he put out this app, a phone app that it's extremist, that gives you the extremists in your body and makes you like a perfect person.
It was kind of a jerk move, though.
It was a jerk move, but it's like, what is this is crazy, because everyone gets it for free first, it's a free app, and then a bunch of people lose it, and it says, you know, hey, it's $99 a day if you want this to be a perfect person.
Hey, perfection comes with a price.
I
Should be more upfront about that. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah.
But that's all part of this whole access thing. Is that?
Yeah, that's
kind
been
of,
an
we're all
access.
kind of that now.
Yeah, Access is fun too. I like the cycle of kind of events. I think Mike, do you feel a little differently about that? Or? I think it's fun. I think ideas stick, and whatever sticks. Whatever doesn't, and things change sometimes. But for the most part, it's like a little Secret Wars every couple months, which I'm totally cool with.
Little too event driven and not story driven for me. I just would like a break from Axis and Secret Invasion and Civil War and all that.
You ain't gonna get it.
I know.
I know.
Fodder for movies.
Yes.
But there are great like standalone titles, and even if sometimes they need to tap into the event, like Mark Waid's Daredevil
Brilliant.
is wonderful and brilliant, and you can give it to anyone, and they'll appreciate like what they know about Daredevil, and he gives a new sort of spin on it, and it's really hard to put into words, but it's
the old interpretation of Daredevil. Have you guys reading the new Daredevil by Mark Waid? Anyone? Show of hands. Anyone? It's good. It's really cool because he's back to being sort of this superhero swashbuckler, which people don't realize that's what he was when he first.
Yeah, he started
He's
off
not a
as a
grim
Spider-Man
gritty guy.
clone.
Yeah, and then Frank Miller. I love Frank Miller's Daredevil run. I know Frank Miller's kind of a dirty word these days, but he brought some cool stuff that he was interested in into the story and changed the character, which to me is great. But at the same time, Mark Waid can come along and do the same thing and dial it back, and now he's back to fighting, kind of everyone else's bad guys. Daredevil number 2, who's he fighting? Anyone know? Pop quiz.
Purple Man?
Electro.
Oh, all right.
Who is Spider-Man's villains, of course. So
That's how he started out.
Yeah.
It's pretty much poaching Spidey's villains.
which is okay. There's a lot of them, but there's it's cool. I always like that about Daredevil.
I like his boxer outfit.
The
yellow.
boxer?
Yeah,
Thank God he didn't dial that back that far.
That's a shame.
I think the most obvious and the biggest thing that we could talk about is Marvel movies. And when I say that, I'm taking it all the way back to the 70s.
To
And when
Red Brown's Captain America TV movies.
Oh,
yeah.
The Doctor Strange
one where he fights the mother from Arrested Development. You guys know that? I forget her name, but she's totally in there.
Jessica Walters.
Yeah, Jessica Walters. Yeah, she plays like Morgan Le Fay or whatever.
Oh man, it's
pretty
Let's hope the new movie will be a little more.
I hope it'll be good because I just bought Doctor Strange's first appearance, and I want that baby to go up in price.
But obviously Marvel has they have like a whole plan now, but like we've been delighted by having this on our screens for a while. I don't know if X-Men or Spider-Man came out first, but those were blew my mind when I could see my characters that I love on the TV screen.
Yeah,
And then then Iron Man comes out. Now we have what we have now.
Which is I think Guardians of the Galaxy. I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy. I always liked Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But I think that really saved the whole Marvel movie franchise, for me at least, because I was getting a little, don't hate me, I was getting a little bored with Marvel movies. If you can, it was just I felt like every movie was ending the same, and it was like an hour of action to the point where action was turning into this like weird white noise for me where I would fall asleep. And it's okay, it's fun, I like all the Easter eggs, but Guardians of the Galaxy took these great, I like them B, C, D, Z-list characters and made them, and there was a tone, they gave them a new tone. There was a new feeling for these characters, it was new for an audience, which I think was good. I hope they can keep
But they played it a little safe with Guardians of the Galaxy. They still followed like the Avengers analog, like Star-Lord was Tony Stark, like the snarky guy, and Gamora would be like your Black Widow, and Groot was your Hulk character, so they still played it a little safe, but it was, to me, a truer test of Marvel movie success that they could take these characters that no one has ever heard of unless you read comics and have it be this successful, and just reformat, refit them, put them out there, huge success, biggest Marvel movie success, I think.
I don't, compared to like what you had to
but
run with, it's
that
definitely
now they can open the door for like your Ant-Man movie, your Inhumans movie, your Doctor Strange.
really excited for
Otherwise,
I was more excited when Edgar Wright was directing it, though. I'm a little nervous now.
Whatever.
it'll be fine. I think the Marvel Cinematic movie people in charge have a vision and will try to keep things on track.
Well, I hope so. And I agree with you about Guardians of the Galaxy, but I gotta say a few months before that, because I was getting nervous about Marvel Cinematic Universe too, but Winter Soldier came out a couple months before Guardians. And that was, like, I thought that was awesome. And like, 'cause it's not even really a superhero movie. It's like a spy movie almost, with a
It had
guy,
a nice 70s,
yeah.
like, political thriller
Yeah,
feel
so I
to
thought
it.
that was a show that
Stick
they
Redford
could-
in there, perfect.
Yeah,
Pretty much all the
It
president's
was
men.
amazing.
I thought there was nothing wrong with the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all, and it's gonna be awesome forever.
I hope so. I hope
Thank
so.
you, Josh.
But I mean, I'm hesitant. I don't know if Disney can really keep everyone's interest in it for as long as they want to. And not only that, I'm a little freaked out that this kind of like this corporation, this huge corporation, Disney, all of a sudden has its white grubby gloved
Mouse
hand,
paws.
yeah, Mickey Mouse paws on some of my favorite characters. It was weird watching Captain America learn that, everything he's fighting for, all these good guys are getting subverted by this evil corporation. I was
Well,
like,
there's some irony there, sure, but
I don't know.
But I mean, really, at the risk of sounding really cynical, Disney's about making money, and if Marvel's movies are making money, why are they going to fiddle with it? They're just going to leave it alone and just let them do what they need to do.
That's fine. I just hope, I don't know.
We'll see in 2020 or whatever when they finally, the slate of movies is like.
Yeah, if we're still interested in Thanos, if the
Like,
public is,
man.
I'll always be interested in Thanos, but I mean, like, that's a long time to wait for, and hopefully, I hope it catches on. I hope it keeps going.
When they announced this latest round of movies and their schedule for them, everybody's like asking me what I was most looking forward to, and they expected me probably to say Civil War, Captain America, but my absolute favorite Marvel superhero, besides Spider-Man, has to be Jack Kirby's Black Panther.
Black Panther's
gonna
super
be
cool.
so badass.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that.
I'm really excited because I have all their first appearances. And by the time it was just like, they announced what's his face, Benedict, I can't pronounce his last name.
Cumberbatch.
You wear it under your tuxedo.
I was just like, by the time they had that, I had all of them, and I was like, good, all right, cool. I'm just gonna keep these.
Go get them graded or whatever.
No, I don't do the grading. I don't do that stuff.
No,
All right.
nothing.
No swearing.
Yeah, you can't read it. You got a question?
Yeah.
You got a question already? Yeah, go for
We
it.
have a question.
You're talking about like
You said.
D-level and Z-level characters. So from reading comics growing up, what character down on that level that you enjoyed as a child would you like to see a movie made of?
Paladin. You guys know Paladin? He's just like a piece of crap. He's just he's like a mercenary, wears this like stupid purple body armor.
What's there's a Punisher comic with Paladin. It's like
Paladin shows up all the
Warzone
time.
or something.
No one likes Paladin.
He's a mercenary, showed up in a lot of Daredevils in the 70s, and maybe had like one solo comic in like Marvel Preview, Marvel
Do you
Premiere.
remember when he teamed up with Cap and they had pretty sure Paladin
They became a
won.
women or something?
Yes.
Yeah, then Paladin's like, alright, we gotta put these dresses on.
That's
I was like, what? She's like, we gotta put these dresses on.
Really, really bad. I think that was about when I was like, I think I'm done with Cap for a little while.
Man, no
Put
way.
him down.
Well, beyond Paladin, they're getting my favorite Z-list character in there, which is man, Scott Lang.
He's not Z-list. He's like D.
He's an Avenger.
He's like
He's the
Everyone's
original
an Avenger
Avenger.
now.
Not Scott Lang.
Hank Pym, yeah. I like
I
Hank Pym a lot.
would like to answer that man's question. I would like to see Morbius,
Yeah, baby.
the living
Yeah.
vampire.
Okay.
I just think it would inject some new life into the whole vampire mythos and like untwilight it.
You get Nicholas Brendan to play Morbius.
I'll talk to his parole officer.
He's right outside the door, dude.
That's cool.
Are we all answering that question?
Darcy,
I
you probably
think so.
have a good one.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of one here. You know what? A character that I guess he's dead now, but it doesn't really matter.
comics, dude.
Yeah. Doc Samson. He was like
Nice.
the Hulk's
Yeah.
like kind of
Wow.
nemesis, and he had green hair.
And a lightning bolt.
Yeah, he had
t-shirt.
this 70s sort of lightning bolt thing on.
Do you remember him, Doc Samson?
Vaguely.
Superhero psychologist.
He was technically in the Hulk movie, like the previous one before the Avengers.
The Ang Lee.
Oh,
Yeah.
The Ed Norton.
Oh, the Ed Norton
one.
one. Okay. Who was he?
He was, I think he was like seeing.
Yeah, the guy from Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have we gone too far down the alphabet list for your question? Because you're like, I don't know any of these characters.
Doc Samson's like, you're getting into some like, that's like a pound sign. He's like a pound sign level character. That's such a thing.
Who would you like to see?
He's the comic book reader. I'm just.
But you have a Thor tie. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great gift.
That's a
I love
good
that.
gift, man. Did everyone give their
Josh, do you
No.
have
Josh, you got one?
I'd say Deathlock because he was in the first Cap that I read.
That you ever read, that's right.
And he's
Deathlock's cool.
And he's on Shield.
He is on Shield.
I wish he had his robot face.
So
though.
he might get a Zoom. Yeah, could happen.
You never know.
At least a Netflix series.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'd say so.
And that's too. We could talk about TV now. So they have their announcements. They have Daredevil Netflix TV show coming out, and Shield, Agents of Shield. Do you guys watch Shield?
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? And
Now.
yeah, it did. It started pretty slow for me.
It got there. That's fine. That's all we-
Has there been like the thing that kind of gets to me is just sort of how everyone kind of has the same voice. It's like, I'm a snarky character. Well, I'm a snarky character too.
Isn't
Whoa.
that a Joss Whedon type of thing?
Yeah, it
it's
is.
it's not. It doesn't do it for me because I like, with the Marvel universe, you have all these sorts of different voices. You have all these different creators working in a shared universe. So you do have all these different characters, different voices, and stuff like that. It's cool. I'll catch up to it on Netflix.
Well, what was great about watching Shield, and then it was Matt's birthday when Captain America came out. So we watched Shield, and Sitwell was like, "I'm gonna go on the ship," and then we went to the movie theater, and like Sitwell was like, "Here I am on the ship," and I was like, "Wow, this is so the opposite strategy as to what the distinguished competition is doing with their TV shows and movies."
I love
They-
The Flash. I'm not even gonna hear
Oh,
it.
and I love the Flash, and I love Arrow, and I wish that those were the guys that were going to be in the Justice League on the movies, and not to go into the big DC thing here, but they're now with this Disney money in mindset, they can go, oh, put it on the TV and put it in an animated show and have them all sort of work together and like work like cogs. And I think that that's cool. That's what I've wanted like since I was a little kid. So, I don't know.
Yeah, they're following that same comic book model of creating a shared universe, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. show should be doing exactly that, is like launching movie properties. I dig that, you know, like what's going on now, it's all pointing to the Inhumans.
I just wish they weren't.
Although I've heard another strategy that it's actually for Captain Marvel.
Oh.
Kree and
Because
whatnot.
there's still that Kree connection.
Yes.
Kree. If I were to
She's
space
going to be the first Marvel heroine movie.
It's cool. I don't know. I feel like I'm down with all that stuff. I feel like sometimes they go for what's easy as opposed to what could be. I don't know, for what worked in the comic books could work on a larger audience. They're afraid.
Like Paladin.
Like Paladin. They're afraid to go in and like really get these characters with their goofy costumes or goofy characterizations. Like Sitwell. Agent Sitwell is one of my favorite agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they just turned him into. They just used the name because guys like me will recognize the name and be like, ooh, cool. But Agent Sitwell's me.
Anytime there's a new character on S.H.I.E.L.D., I go. I search for their name on Wikipedia and say, oh, the Marvel Wiki. Oh, there's that guy.
I love Agent Sitwell. He starts off as sort of like the geek. Remember, he reminds me of Cyril. Any guys Archer fans? He reminds me of Cyril Figgis, like the accountant on the team, and he's just like always nervous about what Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan are gonna do, and then Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan call him a milksop and tell him to shut up.
Milksop. You milksop. You should
Milk-
more people calling. Go to school, kids, and start calling people milksops.
Yeah, milksop is a good one, but. And then eventually as time progresses, this character becomes like a badass agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who runs with Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan and Gabe Jones, and he's one of them. So, I'm afraid you're not going to get that sort of characterization, but it's impossible, honestly, when you have just an hour a week on TV. I'm excited for Agent Carter, honestly, if we're going to talk about TV shows, because I love Golden Age comics and all the goofy, like really fun stuff. Like, could we get a Human Torch?
Oh, that would be great.
That would be awesome. I love the android Human Torch.
They showed him in Captain America.
Yeah, they did. You're right. I remember that. Yeah.
So they're gonna tie that into the Vision or whatever. Like
they could. Oh, you just. Oh, that's cool. That was good. You guys know your trivia. The Human Torch and the Vision. The Vision was based. His body was based on the design for the original Human Torch.
And who created the Vision?
Ultron, baby.
Roy Thomas.
Is there? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was good. Thanks, Clay.
Ultron is Roy Thomas. Is Roy Thomas still alive?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Good for him.
He was responsible for a lot of those like things you were talking about earlier in the panels. The little blurbs about like seeing characters.
He's a big
Rascally Roy.
So RT was on.
He's a big comics historian. I would love to go through that guy's archives.
That's pretty cool. I met Flo
Sounds like you
Stein.
already have.
I met Flo Steinberg once, and if you guys don't know who Flo Steinberg is, she was like the original secretary for Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and the original Marvel bullpen, and she kept everyone organized, probably kept them on schedule while they were yelling and screaming at each other. And she was super nice, and she was
dreamy.
She was asking questions about me, and I'm like, you're Flo Steinberg. Why are you asking questions about me? Because she's nice.
Do you have her comic book appearance in What If number 11?
I do. I collect first appearances. I got some cool ones today. I got Stiltman's first appearance.
That's who I want to be.
There's a movie right there.
Stiltman.
He was a Daredevil villain, I think.
He should show up on
Oh,
the
he
show.
did it. That Mark Waid had a great thing.
Yeah,
It all comes back.
And that's what I like about Marvel. And that, going back to what we all love about Marvel Comics is that no idea is too dumb or too goofy. You have someone come along and tell the most amazing Stiltman story where you feel some like. Did you ever read Stiltman's Funeral?
Yes.
I love that issue.
Punisher. The Punisher, and he like blew them all up.
But I mean, before that, it's all these villains showing up for Stiltman's funeral, and it's funny, and you see they're all sharing their stories, and they're all just like, oh man, we've had some fun times, we've had some great times. They're all throwing jokes at each other, making fun of each other. Stiltman was apparently married to Princess Python, which is hilarious because the goofy guy always gets the hot chick, and then the Punisher kills them all. They've all
Sorry,
shown-
I gave that away.
No, it's funny.
I love
It
that.
turns out it's a great issue to read
Spoiler.
because it's fun. They go
It's
over
like
all
7 years old.
the history of these characters, and it turns out the Punisher was the bartender at this bar the whole time.
I actually love the Punisher.
And Punisher just lights the place on fire.
And yeah, I'm still looking for my good, the league, as I'm going to speak for these guys, we're looking for the epic Paste Pod Pete story.
That's right. We have been talking
He's
about
the
that.
trapster now.
I
If we're
know.
gonna really-
You're looking for the ultimate Paste Pot Pete story?
Ultimate. No, not the ultimate, but ultimate Pastebot Pete. That's
Oh, you're hoping.
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna relaunch a series called.
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
I thought you were just like looking
There's
for
a
the best
great-
It works both
Trapster
ways.
story.
Well,
Because
I
I had a suggestion.
What's the Marvel team up issue where
58.
Okay, Spider-Man and Ghost Rider
Yes.
team up to fight Paste Pot Pete.
Yeah.
Let's Ghost
All right,
Rider
well,
fights
I'm gonna
Paste
go down and
Pot
try to
Pete.
find that.
It's a great issue.
Down
and,
to Comicazi, I'll
Ghost
look
Rider,
for you.
Ghost Rider like gives him his penance stare, whatever, makes Paste Pot Pete feel all the terrible things he's done in his life, and Paste Pot Pete goes insane. It's like, what have you been up to, Paste Pot Pete? How much trouble could you actually have
Gluing
gotten
so many
into?
people's feet to the ground.
Oh my god,
so
crazy. He really deserved the spirit of hell to come get him on his flaming motorcycle. But that's fun, and again, what we like about the Marvel Universe. Spider-Man can team up with an agent of the devil who rides around in a motorcycle with a flaming skull head.
One of my favorite things about Marvel is, if you've all read comics, there's always, like, the bad guys, the super bad guys, always have a bunch of cronies. They're just like this endless supply of henchmen, and Marvel Comics gave an answer to that in the Avengers in issues 195 and 196 with the first Taskmaster. Taskmaster is a supervillain that trains henchmen to loan out to supervillains. So the Avengers stumble on one of his operations, and there's your answer why there's always henchmen in great supply for supervillains. And I'm like I was like 10 or 12 when that book came out, and I was like, that's awesome. I'm like, why do they always have these villains? I'm like, and how come there's never the same one? Like, he did his term in jail and was like, I don't want to work for, this bad guy. I want to go work for that bad
Do you
guy.
think Taskmaster goes to high schools and like recruits people?
Yes.
Gives them free pens and stuff.
Supervillainy is cool.
Yeah, it looks like his sword. It's
We'll
like
pay your college tuition.
I
Probably
would
does.
be a supervillain henchman if that were the case.
That's great. Yeah, Marvel, they're not afraid to ask those silly questions and like really like in those early issues of Spider-Man when Spider-Man's like, I need some money. I know, I'll sell my story to a comic book publisher. And he goes and he meets Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and he tries to get them to buy his story and they're like, all right, who do we make the check out to? And he's like, Spider-Man. We can't write a check to Spider-Man. Dingus.
Well, I remember when Steve Rogers was an artist for Marvel.
Oh, that's so
When
cool.
he was an artist on his own comic
book.
book.
That is such a good
He signed
nod.
Captain America.
That's a great retcon. It's a good nod to his
Marvel was
creators.
meta before Grant Morrison.
That's fine. That's cool. Where do you think Grant Morrison learned it from?
He's probably stoned in some.
Reading your Marvel comics. Yeah, that's great. Great way to pass the time.
We're almost about to wrap up. Does anybody have any questions? Any crazy, weird Mike Zach trivia from Mike?
Got it back.
One thing that I don't think you mentioned that I personally like about Marvel is they were very big in the video game space. I personally love like Capcom versus Marvel. Like Rocket Raccoon was not Guardians. It was I played in a video game. I saw him do all this crazy stuff, and I'm just like, this is a great person. Like MODOK to me is a floating guy who beat up you. Like, and I thought they've always had good presence in like only Marvel category games as well as crossovers.
Rocket Raccoon will always be a joke to me, and the fact that people are buying all of his merchandise now is just an even bigger joke to me, which is I really like it, and I'm glad because
It's a really funny joke.
they can take stuff.
Hilariously profitable joke.
Yeah, they can take stuff and make it cool, and you want to see Rocket Raccoon take on the dude from Devil May Cry and all of his super self-seriousness, It's great. They really walk that line between fun and serious. They're not afraid to tell that super serious Rocket Raccoon story, But video games, yeah, I was all about Ultimate Alliance in college. I think it was the shit. Sorry.
Anyone else? Any questions or anything? We'll wrap it up.
Yes, Captain America time.
What's your favorite Marvel storyline?
Ooh, good question.
Civil
good
War,
question.
the Secret Wars.
What's your favorite, Mike?
Storyline, like overarching storyline,
Yeah.
or just single issue?
Overarching.
One or the other.
Probably like Jim Starlin's first Thanos Cosmic Cube story.
That one's up there for me too.
That's a good one.
Especially when that goes over into Warlock too. It continues, but it sort of doesn't continue, and it's really weird, and it lasts a while, and there's payoff. There's like a really cool payoff at the end where everyone teams up to fight Thanos, and it feels epic, it feels huge, but it's only like 12 issues or so, which to me is really cool. It tells a lot. So I'd throw my hat in with Mike and say that, continuing into the Warlock saga, which is cool.
You want something nice and short, but a very important piece of Marvel is Days of Future Past. It's only a couple issues, but read the comic, watch the movie again.
I like that movie a lot. That was one of my favorites of the summer too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Go ahead.
I loved Age of Apocalypse. It was when I was getting back into comics again. And I just love the whole premise of like time travel, and like if you take somebody out in the past, it changes in a domino effect everything, and see how it turns out.
Did you read the Uncanny X-Force kind of sequel to all that stuff?
I did not.
Oh, you gotta read it. It's awesome. You guys read that? Uncanny X-Force? Again,
Oh yeah, they did
there's
that.
just the great
Max reads the books that no one else does.
No, everyone
I think
read
that was pretty
Uncanny
popular.
X-Force. That was super popular. Like I said, going back, there's a super serious raccoon story to tell. There's a super serious X-Force story to tell between all the shoulder pads and pouches and big knives. And
It's a
whatnot.
what if.
And there's nothing wrong with what ifs. That's a great concept too.
I used to enjoy it one day.
I love them.
I think my favorite arc, and this is probably very random compared to, but like there was like a 5-parter back in the day, the Avengers, where like the Masters of Evil like went into the mansion.
yeah.
and just
Under
kicked the
Siege,
crap out of
baby.
everyone.
Under Siege.
Yeah, it was Under Siege,
Under
sort of
Siege.
in retrospect. I didn't.
I have a
took
letter
5 parts.
published in one of those issues.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. But like no one had ever really beaten them up like that before. Like no one had ever just
That's a
come
great
in
story.
and just kicked the crap out of them all. And then
I'm
it was
upset
like,
that I didn't pick
oh,
that.
I'm sorry.
There's a great scene in that. Without spoiling anything, there's an awesome scene where they truss up Captain America, and Baron Zemo's like, oh, we found this old chest in your room, and it's all of his memorabilia from like when he was a kid and like the Depression and whatnot, like all of his old baseball cards, photos of his family, and they just, it's awful. You gotta read what they do.
Yeah, they beat up like Jarvis or whatever, like dude, like just sadistically. Just,
Oh, they beat up Hercules. I mean, they get Jarvis, but they also get Hercules. They just ransack Hercules, which is an awesome way to start a story arc out in the gut.
Now I'm just thinking of like 10
Well,
other
it was
stories.
so funny. They got him
Too good of a question.
Shoot him out.
Sorry, yeah.
We only got a couple minutes. Name
The
another.
Korvac saga.
Yeah, Korvac Saga. Everyone dies. It's awesome.
Hey, Guardians of the Galaxy in there.
Yeah, the original Guardians are in there.
Old school Guardians.
On the Fantastic Four, the Skrull aging Ray story.
That's good. Kree Squirrel War is a great one too. If you haven't read that yet, go back and read your classics.
Yeah, all my suggestions are going to be stuff from like the 70s because I'm just a geezer.
And if you want to see Vision in a turtleneck sweater playing chess, I assume by himself,
Yeah.
read Kree Squirrel War. They're not going to put that part in the movie.
I beg to differ.
Your
Yes.
cameraman.
What Marvel comics are you guys subscribing to right now?
Ooh, good call, good call. I get Miss Marvel, which is really fun with Kamala Khan, the new Miss Marvel. I get all the Guardians books, even though I don't really like the main title too much, but I like all the spin-offs. I think Star-Lord,
Yeah, I agree. Actually.
Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Guardians 3000 is awesome. The original Guardians, Star-Lord's in there too.
Uncanny Avengers.
Yeah, good choice.
I keep it on the street level while these guys are out in space. My favorite new.
What are you insinuating?
Nothing. I read Spider-Man. I read Ultimate Spider-Man.
I like Spider-Man.
And I read and I also read
Daredevil.
Black Widow, the Nathan Edmondson trio of books, the
Still not
Black
out.
Widow, Punisher, and now Deathlock. That guy is just awesome.
Are you reading Moon Knight?
And I
I
was
gave
reading
up on
Moon
Moon
Knight.
Knight.
Why did you guys give up on Moon Knight?
Because Warren Ellis is
Warren
working.
Ellis
Oh,
left.
you should read it. Brian Wood's picking it up. It's just as
I
good.
don't
He's,
care
he's
about
keeping
that guy.
he's keeping the same format. Awesome done in ones. I really like stories that you read it one issue, you get a whole thing, and it's going to contribute to a larger plot, and there's going to be a payoff. Check out Moon Knight, my young friend.
Moon
You'll
Knight
like
and
it.
Superior Foes.
Yeah, was good. Black Widow, definitely I agree with on that.
Hawkeye.
Oh, of course, Hawkeye, yes.
Hawkeye's cool, but I hope they just get a schedule down for
Oh,
that.
I know, it's driving me insane.
Now they're gonna finish it up, so what are we gonna?
Oh, they're doing Jeff Lemire's picking it up. It's gonna be really cool.
Hawkeye has had 2 comic book series in the last couple of years. That's kind of amazing. Successful ones too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good ones.
Is that everyone? Anyone got another question?
That was mine.
Hawkeye's, yeah.
Hawkeye.
It's the only thing I read.
I mean, I like the Avengers stuff too. The current Avengers stuff is really good. New Avengers, which should be probably
It's
new.
Hickmanized.
It's Hickmanized. It's confusing, but it's fun, and it draws upon like the history, the whole history of the Marvel universe. And again, there's that super serious. I think Rom's gonna show up in that story. I'm not gonna lie.
Stop the presses.
I know.
Shut the front door.
I love Rom.
Oh my god.
What do you think is Marvel's lowest point as far as a story or creative?
Ooh, wow.
Todd McFarlane writing Spider-Man was the worst.
That was pretty bad.
The Spider-Man Clone Saga.
Marvel. I think you guys know Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel is.
With your own book.
Quasar?
Shut up! I'm gonna walk out of here. I own every single issue of Quasar.
You can walk out, it's almost over.
Quasar is great. Read Quasar.
Quasar's in the new.
Pretty much anything in the 90s is pretty bad.
He was in Star Wars?
He made a little cameo.
Did he? I don't remember
Yeah.
that.
Sorry. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Anything from the '90s. That's a pretty low point.
I think a lot of the X-Men stuff, when the X-Men started just like, I'm all for them being like superheroes and stuff like that, but when they were fighting like ninjas and stuff like that, and like mystical ninjas, and everyone had like
I mean,
different...
the things that Frank
Scott
Miller
Lobdell.
created,
Scott
mystical
Lobdell.
ninjas,
Scott Lobdell.
the hand.
Yeah, I like the hand,
Okay.
but I mean like, whatever. I don't like some of that.
I don't know. Some of the things they were, well, in the last few years. I mean, I love Spider-Man, but like some of that stuff were like Gwen Stacy's twin sons or something like that.
Yeah, that was bad, but I mean,
That didn't happen in my world.
Yeah, oh my god, that was like just why screw with it like that? This character's been
If
dead
only
for
we
30
could have
years.
one more day to do that over.
Yes, if only. Yeah, so he gives up his wife so he can have his elderly aunt like back.
Stop bringing back the bad memories.
well, they retconned that
That's what the
retcon.
question was.
They retconned a retcon with what is it, One Moment in Time, where he was like late for his wedding, and that's why they didn't get married. It was very Peter Parker, but at least it's not. At least it's not Spider-Man making a deal with the devil. Anyone else? Any other good questions?
Well, you after that bit of '90s hate, are there any '90s books you liked from Marvel?
Hellstorm.
Oh.
Hellstorm. Warren Ellis. We're talking Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis wrote the tail end of the Damien Hellstorm series, and it's so cool. It's so Warren Ellis creepy. Like
Warren Ellis did a ton of Marvel work in the 90s.
yeah, there's a great scene where Hellstorm's visiting his crazy wife, Patsy Walker.
Hellcat.
Hellcat. aka
Cheese and
Hellcat.
crackers.
Yeah, she is. She went insane, and she's like babbling to himself. So of course the son of Satan is just gonna be like, it's just like the stuff you come up with these days is poetry, and her doctor's just like she's clinically insane. She's just like.
I like the Steve Epting and Bob Harris run of the Avengers in the 90s with no one popular on the team at all.
Sorry, what?
It's like 30 issues. It's awesome.
The Crossing.
No, not The Crossing. It's The Gathering.
The Gathering.
The Crossing was after.
Quasar was on there though.
Quasar, yeah, Quasar is 90s. I like
Yeah,
90s
yeah.
Quasar. Quasar turned into kind of like a weird sitcom where he was living with one of the Eternals. I believe it was Makari, the super fast one. So it was so. I love Mark Grunwald. He's one of my favorite. We didn't talk about him.
Oh, I love it too.
We
Yeah,
only had an hour.
that's okay. But he is one of like the quintessential Marvel characters. If you haven't read Squadron Supreme, everyone, your homework
So good.
is to read Squadron Supreme.
Watchmen.
The
before
original
Watchmen.
12.
The best Justice League story ever, and it was written by Marvel.
Yeah, that was really good.
Good question.
I guess we gotta wrap.
I guess we're done.
Thanks for showing up,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
So Videodrome is filmed at Comicazi in Somerville, Massachusetts, and we got awesome stuff. We got new toys, old toys, new comics, old comics, subscriptions, an awesome eBay store. Check us out. We are the best comic book store on the East Coast, bar none.